Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amy and we are here with the first in a multi-part series for thrift and antique hauling. So I'm a little crooked at the moment. I'm gonna haul something to help boost my TV tray up on one side. I have one of those stupid mattress toppers that makes everything kind of float weird. So anyway, yeah, so yesterday in my world was Friday. I took the day off of work and Jason and I went to a bunch of our favorite thrift and crafty places up along Highway 55 in Illinois. And so I'm going to show you some of what I got, and some of this stuff will appear at some point in my Etsy shop or on my Whatnot auction, unless it's things that I'm gonna kind of take apart, and well, then it'll still probably end up in there for my Ephemera Packs kind of thing. But I found a whole slew of different kinds of stuff, so hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I do. There is fair warning in the title of this video that it is a crafty video, so if you're one of my Temu people that watches me for Temu, there's no Temu in this video, but please make sure you're subscribed and click that bell so that the next time I do have a Temu video or a haul video like that, you might stop back in. And then for those of you that stick around because you like thrifting, you like crafting, you like junk journaling, you like any of those things, or you just like to sit and visit, let me know in the comments below if there are certain search terms that search words that you use when you are looking for videos to watch on YouTube, because I am trying to find, I know there's a ton of crafty viewers out there, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm adequately marketing to reach those people with my tags and keywords on these videos. So let me know if there's something that you search for. Like I search for junk journaling, flip throughs, you know, that kind of stuff, thrift hauls. But yeah, so if there's specific things, let me know. Also, what else was I gonna say? Well, the moment has passed, so let's get on with the show and I'll hopefully remember it at some point. All right, so one of the places, now I'm gonna be showing you all kinds of stuff from different places. So we went to a thrift store, a flea market, and the Salvation Army in Litchfield, Illinois. And we went to the Chirping Frog, which maybe is in Warden, Illinois. The Chirping Frog is my favorite antique store. There is a booth that's, I don't know, do you call them booths? There's a booth in that store that's got just all like antique magazines. I found some unused product labels in there, all kinds of stuff. And there's another booth in there that has lots of like children's books, and they happen to be half price yesterday when we were there. So, and the ladies there are super nice. Now, they're one of those antique malls where you can set your stuff up at the front desk while you're shopping, you know, and you get a number, they keep a number, and that way they can kind of start to ring you out beforehand, because they are still kind of old school. They don't have like zebra codes or UPCs or whatnot, so they have to take off the stickers and plug it all in so that each booth gets their piece of the pie. But when I finally got done, you know, I was talking with one of the ladies, all the workers, they happen to all be ladies yesterday, are super nice. And one of them also likes to junk journal, and I gave her this channel. I don't know if she will find it, because sometimes it's hard to find channels even when somebody gives you, I've had that experience. And the Wi-Fi wasn't very good in the shop, so I couldn't like look up. I was also giving her other channels that I watch, you know, that do crafting and junk journaling stuff. And so if she found me, great. And I don't know if she'll even I don't know. I told her I don't really do, because it's mostly Temu hauls on this channel, but we do want to explore more crafty things. So, but yeah, so I was talking to her, you know, about these channels and stuff, and the lady that was actually ringing me up, she commented on my ring and was saying how pretty my marquee cut ring was. And because I was still talking to the other lady, I was like, thank you. But I never got back, because then it felt weird to go back and say, oh, by the way, this was a $2 ring on Temu, because my real wedding ring doesn't fit anymore. But yeah, so I was like, oh, nice. You know, it's nice to get compliments on your costume jewelry. And I'm telling you, people would have no reason to think that they're costume, right? So yeah. So okay, back to the haul. We're gonna try to make these about an hour in length. I don't know how long it'll take. Oh, now I remember the other thing I was gonna ask you. Most thrift hauls are filmed top down, so that you're just looking at their table. I struggle with that because of the technology that I have at in my resources, because my phone is an old phone, and so the battery doesn't last very long. So when I film with my phone, I have to plug it into power. So then I can't plug it into a second monitor unless I got a splitter, which I could get. That would be a smart thing to do. But so then I can never see if I'm in frame or not. So I'm filming this series where I'm going to just be showing you like this. But in fairness, if you prefer the top down for these kind of hauls, let me know in the comments, and then I may adjust how I do going forward. Okay, this first item was, oh, and we also stopped at a Five Below, because I saw a really cool TikTok using one of these rugs. So anyway, all right, so this was from the Salvation Army, and it's just one of those, you know, calendar things, but these are great to tear out and use as journaling cards in journals. You could replace what is in this with your own collage, because it's still got a nice border. And so then you're really just buying a paper pack of, you know, 366 pages or whatever. And then sometimes, you know, the cardboard in the back is in a little bit better shape, and you could use it in your journal too. But yeah, so this one was Love, A Year of Love, Finding the Romance in Each Day. And if you were interested in what they actually said, oh, they're front and back. So I guess you're not getting 366, you're getting half of that. Love always looks to the future, but never forgets the past. February 22nd. So there's that. And I kind of paid up for this, you guys. So this was $2.99, it looks like. And I won't have the prices for everything, because some stuff the price tags were taken off, but $2.99 is probably a little bit too high of a price for that. And I didn't know what color tag was on sale. And invariably the color tag that's on sale is never the stuff that I find. But yeah, so this also came from the Salvation Army. I paid $3.99 for this. It is a cloth calendar, so I accidentally put it in this part first, and actually it was in the bin, not even all together. I had to find the parts and put them back together before I bought it. But it is a calendar towel, and I feel like these used to be popular a long time ago. Like I could see my grandma having had these. But anyway, it comes in a tube, and it seemed to be in pretty decent shape. And so originally when I got this, I was thinking, oh, well, I could cut out each of these months, right? And glue them to some kind of paper and make them into something you put in a journal. Or you could even just glue the edges to make a tuck spot, or, you know, you could make a pocket or whatever. But then I was like, oh, 1961. Maybe I don't want to cut it up. Maybe I just want to, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with it. I should look to see what year or what future years the 1961 calendar would work for. But bless this house, O Lord, we pray. Make it safe by night and day. So yeah, I don't know how well, it's just a canvas, so I don't know how well it would cut and, you know, if it would fray really badly. But obviously if I were going to cut like these parts out, as long as I glued them fairly quickly, they'd be fine. But yeah, so I thought that was an unusual thing. I don't know what it is, and I don't know where people who have vintage stuff of this kind of age typically take their stuff when they don't want it anymore. But I feel like it's really hard to find this kind of thing in a thrift store. So I felt like this was a pretty good find. I'm just not sure. And I could put this on my Etsy shop, but I would have to, or my Whatnot shop. I'll link both of those in the description below. But the shipping on this will be a little bit weird because it's long, so it wouldn't fit in a flat rate package. So I think that would also mean it might be kind of expensive to ship. I don't know. I still don't have enough experience with that. But anyway, really liked that. And then I'm just going to be picking this stuff kind of at random. So then I found this kind of vintage looking Mother's Day wrapping paper. And maybe it's not vintage, I don't know, but it felt kind of vintagey, and it comes with a card. Is it wrapping paper or is it a bag? Does it say? It just says gift mate. Bow with adhesive back. Well, where's the bow? Okay, so has this been opened? Maybe it's been opened and partially, oh, it feels sealed. Feels sealed. Bow with adhesive back, gift card, 2 sheets of paper. So, okay. So I guess that I just didn't get the bow. It really doesn't look like it's been opened before. So unless it's, and it doesn't feel like there's a bow like inside the paper that you could then kind of fan out. But anyway, I thought this was kind of dated, looking like 80s, 90s kind of vibes. And so I thought that might be cute just as extra paper to go in things. Then there were these bags that were all taped together. So hopefully I can get the tape off. And they were just gift bags, but I thought they would be cute to either cut up or package some of my sale items in. This one's a glossier one, so I don't like it as much. It says $1.99. I don't know if that's what I paid. It probably is for 4 bags. So could have gotten brand new bags at the Dollar Tree for possibly, but I just thought this would be cool, kind of cut out, make kind of a border or a pocket on a page kind of thing. And then at the Salvation Army, I found these 2 patterns, and I try to look for the ones that are a little bit older looking and are illustrations instead of photos for the cover. So this one is probably not as old. Do they have dates? Sometimes they have dates on these. You could easily look them up online by the pattern number. But this is New Look by the English Pattern Company, which only, oh, it has an office in New York, but otherwise it's only in England, Australia, Johannesburg, Toronto, and Auckland. And no date easily seen without maybe taking out the papers inside. And then this one, I felt like looked a little bit more 70s maybe. I'm still kind of trying to learn ages of things. And of course, they always stick the price tags in places that are hard to take off, because there's so many videos out there of showing how you can use these in junk journals. And obviously the easiest way is, you know, fussy cutting or just using this as a page in a journal. And especially being that it's got the back side, you could use it as a flip out, right? If you cut off some of this to go with it. But they had, I didn't look to see if they had been used before. I kind of always assume they have been, but then these pages are always good to use in as paper too. And sometimes this would have the date on it. But, and then there's a lot of videos out there on how to use the tissue-like paper, the actual pattern paper. So these were both, I think, just $1. And these have become more popular to find. So $1 was actually a pretty decent price on, well, maybe, I don't know. This one is newer, but it's still, oh, well, this one was only 79 cents, so that's good. Then I found this like cross stitch sampler, and it's interesting because I was like, well, where's all the thread? But it's like they just put down here to complete it, they tell you what DMC colors to buy, which I thought was brilliant and is kind of like what you would use for diamond painting, because they've got the grid right there on the actual piece. But it's a 2-piece set, and looks like I paid $1.99. So that's one side, and so these colors would work for both designs. But even as is, without it being actually cross-stitched, you could easily use these to cover a journal or to put as pages in a journal, you know, sew them into your signatures, that kind of thing. Obviously, if you didn't like this design, you could cut parts out and do just all kinds of stuff. So one of the flea market that we went to was the first time we'd ever gone there, and they're only open 2 weekends a month. And when you go in, for one thing, there's no sign, or at least I didn't see a sign saying cash only. So luckily Jason had cash. But it's one of those places that not everything is marked with a price, which is super frustrating for me, because everything's so spread out, and you don't want to always have to be going up to the front desk to ask how much is this. And if there's different booths, the person at the front desk doesn't know, and then it's like, do they call the person? So a lot of times if I can't find a price on something, I just won't even pick it up. But there were a couple things that I found really interesting. One was in a booth, and it was like this really old chocolate box, and when I opened it, it had, I think it had 2 little Bibles in it, but then it had like some letters, and it looked to be kind of turn of the century, right? So I took that box up to the front, and I was like, there's not a price on this. Is there any way to figure out how much it is? And she's like, well, where did you find it? So I showed her, and she's like, well, was that behind the counter? And I'm like, behind the counter? I don't know. All of these booths, it just seems like you can just go in. You know how antique malls are? You go in, and so it turns out this was a separate booth that you have to buy from that booth specifically, but there was nobody manning the booth. And so, yeah, I guess I had gone behind the counter. I didn't know. And she's like, yeah, I don't think that's for sale. And she's like, can you tell me what you were going to do with it? And I was like, well, I like paper, and I like kind of dismantling, and that horrified her. So she's not up on the whole junk journaling craft phase that's out there. And she's like, oh, I'm pretty sure that this is being donated to a church and stuff. And I'm thinking, well, I wasn't going to tear apart the Bibles. But at that point, you know, she's all kind of freaked out. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I was just asking because there's no price. And then there was a album full of vintage ads in it. And there was a couple other things like stuck in the front of the album. And so there was no price on it either. And so I took it up. Well, it happened that the guy from that booth was there. And so he came over and he's like, oh, well, each page is marked with the price. And I was like, each page? Oh no. And he's like, and we're not trying to gouge anybody, but each page was like $8 or more. And I'm thinking, okay. I said, okay, well, thank you. I just couldn't tell how this was being priced, because in my mind, if you're going to have an album where people have to buy pages individually, you'd put a sticker on the top of the album so that people know. Otherwise, I'm used to seeing full albums for sale. Well, of course, if each of these pages in there was probably 50 pages, and if each of them were $8, I couldn't even make an offer on the album as a whole. So I was like, okay, well, thank you. I was just curious. But yeah, so if you're somebody who sells in an antique shop or a thrift store, you might get more sales if you label all of your things. And I know things fall off, so don't get me wrong. I know that if you know, depending on how your particular mall or whatever prices things, I know things fall off. But yeah. And I also, unfortunately, very rarely will buy things behind a glass case, because I don't want to go and ask somebody to unlock it. Now, if it was something I was really looking for, maybe, but in general, I don't know. I guess I'm a lazy shopper. All right, so then next I got a box. This was $3.99. I really don't know if I should have bought this. This was probably a dumb purchase. But it was a box full of these plastic sleeves, and they've got a pocket here. So it was probably for like CDs, if I were guessing. So there's a pocket here and there's a pocket here. So I was thinking, well, shoot, you could create your album cover, put it in one of these, and then it's like a laminated cover that you can then also, you know, decorate. And you could stick stuff in, because there's one channel I watch, and she makes journals out of composition notebooks, but she somehow laminates her covers. But I thought, well, shoot, if you were doing like a 3-ring kind of deal, you could punch your holes in here, but you could put your decorated thing in here. You can make a back and front cover. So that's what I was thinking. I don't know if people would be like, oh, that's dumb. But it also came with some odors. It's got some kind of funky odors, but then it also came with these CD, DVD sleeves, which also I thought could go. These actually have holes that you could punch out, but I thought these could go in a journal too as pockets. So I don't know. I really hesitated about buying this one, but ultimately I obviously did buy it. So we'll see. I may put some of those in my whatnot show just to see if there's any kind of interest in it for that, just to see what people are doing out there. I don't know. Okay, this I found at the Chirping Frog, and this is a set of Congress playing cards. I could be mistaken, but I feel like I've seen this deck of cards at the mall for like a long time, but it may be that I saw them at a different mall. Somewhere I saw them where they were priced for $25 because they are Coca-Cola, and there are Coca-Cola fans out there. But when I saw this one, it was on sale for $10. or not on sale, it was just marked $10. So I ordered it. It's never been used. I already took off the plastic wrap, and you can see the decks of cards are still wrapped. But these are great in junk journals. There's lots of videos on how to upcycle playing cards. You know, whether you like this side better or the other side better, or you just leave them as a card. A lot of people put vintage cards in junk journals, just as ephemera. But I really liked both designs. And there was a year on these, I believe. I think, let me see if it was on this. Okay, where did I see that? 1985. So that's what, almost 40 years old, or is 40 years old this year. So good vintage find there. And obviously you're getting 108 cards at least, plus you're probably getting a couple extras because of, you know, how to order more or whatever. So that was a good find. Then at the Chirping Frog, I also found in my favorite booth that has all the unused labels. I found some of these, and what I like about the unused labels in this, a lot of times they're St. Louis branded companies. So this is La France Parcel Post Supply Company, St. Louis, and these are for Le Grand Liquid Powder Deluxe. So I don't know if it's a perfume powder or if it's a face powder, but lilacs are my favorite flower. It has some lilacs and maybe some violets. I don't know. Tell me if you know what that flower is. But anyway, there's a whole set of those labels. And this place takes the prices off, so I don't know how much I paid for these. Then I found these little rose labels. I think there were supposed to be 10 in here based on the tag that used to be on here, but there were only seven in here. So I don't know. It's hard to say what a good price is for this kind of thing because they're unused. They've never been stuck to whatever it is, and I don't know what Little Rose is. If it's a makeup or something too, I could Google it or take a picture of this on my Google. But yeah, so I really don't know what good prices are for unused labels, but I always love finding them. And then let's get some variety in here. We'll do some kids books. These were also at the Chirping Frog, and this was in the shop that all the kids books were half price. Now they're kind of beat up. So we've got Billy and his steamroller, but you can see it's been taped up, and these are Wonder Books. I'm not sure I'd heard of Wonder Books before, but these would be great even if you detach the cover, because the front and the back cover themselves are fine. It's just the spine that's no longer really working on this book. But you could do the same thing with this that you do with a little golden book kind of thing. But it used to belong to Stephen Lissel Van Patten, 1952. And did he color in this? I can't tell if he colored in the, yeah, I guess he did. Or some child has done some pen marks all over this. But anyway, I just like finding these old books because of the pictures inside. Even if, like, I could try to resell this on Whatnot, but even if I didn't, these would be good just to pull the pages out to put in ephemera packs. People love children's book pages in ephemera packs, and this particular book is from 1951. So Billy and his steamroller. And then another book from that same one. Wait. I think this is either from the flea market or it's from the flirping chog, the chirping frog. So 12 bells for Santa. I never know if you can kind of get crayon marks off of book covers, maybe. There's a little bit of damage up there, but yeah, I thought this had good illustrations too. And this book is from 77, and especially if you do Christmas themed journals, it just has some really pretty things you could cut out or use the whole page. Just a lot of variety. Good patina on the paper. So liked that. And then the ducks come to the farm. I like birds. Now it says it's with 2 pop-ups, but this one had 1 pop-up and it's in really bad shape, and the other pop-up I think is totally torn out. And I had pop-up books. I don't know when those became popular, but I had a couple pop-up books when I was a kid, and yeah, those don't last very long because kids really like to play with those, and they just don't wear well over time. But you can, and then the spine on this one's not very good either. But I like birds, and it had some rabbits. So I thought, has that page been taped in? Like, how is that still? Oh yeah, it's been taped on the other side. For Easter, you know, people do Easter journals. These are good for that kind of thing. And they're just really vibrant colors in these that I enjoy. Turkey, if you're doing like a Thanksgiving kind of theme. More rabbits. So I found some stuff. I made the mistake of going on eBay and looking up vintage card games, and I just started making like offers because they were all buy it now, and so I made offers, and all of my offers were accepted, you guys. So there will be a eBay video coming at some point. Okay, so this was also from the Chirping Frog, from the same booth that had the labels. This was a partial card deck, but it is advertising a steakhouse in St. Louis. Now, I didn't look to see if this steakhouse is still around. I'm kind of guessing it's not because I've never heard of it before, but in St. Louis, it's Ruggieri's. Charcoal broiled steaks, lobsters, noon lunches, serving fine foods for 3 generations. So I kind of hope they're still open, but their phone number was Prospect 6 1900. So that tells you how old it is by how, you know, how the phone number was. But they're just regular cards. But I thought these were kind of a cool advertisement piece, so I picked that up. I'd seen these before and I kept passing them up, but finally this time I went for it. All right, then at one of the thrift stores, I just found this bits and baubles for crafting is how it's labeled, and it was $1.99. You guys, when we had our flood, I got rid of all of my beads because they were part of the box was in the flood line, and I so regret not saving all of those beads that I'd collected over the years. They could have been washed, but I didn't. I just chucked them all, and I so regret that. So I have like very little in the way of beads and chains anymore, but it had a couple of these leaf pendants, and you never know what you're going to get with a bag like this. But this is there are so many beautiful reasons to be happy pendant. But I also liked kind of this well, there's probably multiple chains in here, multiple necklaces, but these are great to have dangles on the outsides of the spine of your journals. So yeah, I haven't taken the time to untangle it yet, but I liked it was more metallic than bead, which I kind of liked. And I thought it would give me some good kind of vintagey chain to work with. So there's the other leaf pendant. And then it just had a random kitty pin and a couple of rings in it, like binder rings. And then let's do some more like, so this was at the Chirping Frog. There was a booth that had like quilty things. So these, I'm kind of guessing these would have used those applique, those iron-on applique that would then show you where, because if, I don't know if you can still see, but there's some that they didn't actually get to. But they did a lot of it. So there were several panels of this that I thought could be nice for journal covers. I don't know that I would cut these up per se, but so I got a pack of 2. So these 2 I think are the same. They may not have the same colors in the same places, but I think those 2 were the same design. And then there was this pack. This one has had very little of it stitched. And a bunch of orange. And this one, I think there was a second one, but it was not the same colors. Kind of like maybe they used up all of their dark orange on that, so they only had their light orange left, because it's the same pattern. But that one I think was, both of those were fully completed. But I really liked this one. Just kind of the botanical. Now some people, you could make this into a pillow, right? Or you could sew them together and make like a weird shaped quilt. They did this one did have some quilt squares with the little girls made out of like baby clothes remnants, and I have a couple of quilts that I inherited that are made like that, so that kind of took me back. And here's another really pretty one. So yeah, so I don't typically buy this kind of thing because I haven't really learned how to use it properly in journaling, but I thought those might be interesting to somebody. All right, then flashcards are always a good buy, but when I got these, I just saw flashcards and I was like, oh, there's a bunch of them. SAT. So these are my daughter, who is a sophomore, she was actually really excited about these. So I may end up just giving them to her. But so these were the verbal ones. But so they're like, you know, more adult words. Like little kids are not going to be looking at these. So anyway, and then the back side of them, it was kind of, I mean, so these are like flashcards on steroids. So I didn't really realize that's what I was getting. Would I have still gotten them? Maybe. They need to be, for me to enjoy them, they need to be aged up a bit, but they're kind of glossy. So like, I don't know if I'm going to take one of these, like maybe not, well, maybe like this one that just is telling you what it is. And I'm going to maybe try to coffee dye it and see if the coffee can seep through this. Like, I may just use it as a learning lesson for how how to work with some of this stuff. I know I could take sandpaper and kind of scuff it up first maybe, and then maybe the tea would seep through. But yeah, so like these that are just kind of, they're not these, you know, cards I can use to experiment. But then there was also a math set in there. So how are you guys doing? So I'm filming this on Saturday, and it'll probably air on Sunday. And so I'll be going over to visit my mom tonight with Jason. And you guys know, well, if you're new, if you're like a new Crafty fan, you might not know, but my mom has Alzheimer's, and my dad goes to church on Saturday nights, and so we go sit with my mom while he's at church, and we try to, like, he goes out to eat with them too afterwards, you know, which we encourage because he needs adult conversation, right? But it's kind of depressing going over there. I mean, it's not, how do I say this? It's not depressing going to see my mom, but she doesn't know I'm her kid anymore. So I can't have like conversation, like real conversations. We can talk about fantasy world kind of stuff that she thinks is real, but it's, I don't know, it's just kind of depressing. But I wouldn't trade it because I know some people don't have that opportunity with their parent anymore. So next I got this was from the Chirping Frog, a gourmet recipe notes stationery set. I've been really enjoying finding vintage stationery sets. So it came with, I couldn't tell that I think all the pieces were still in here. So you get 6 green envelopes and 6 yellow envelopes. Really pretty. And then you could also use this, it feels kind of like vellum, but it's like a opaque vellum. So you could definitely use that in your crafting too, as well as this. I mean, this could be, you could make a journal out of this, right? Where this is the cover, and then you know, use your string and just string things in here, because it's got a pretty decent, I mean, it'd be a small journal, but anyway, it had all of these. There are 4 different recipe cards, but they are, I wonder who's honking out there. Can you hear that? But there are 4 different recipes. Sorry, that was kind of distracting to me. So there is Caesar salad. You get 3 of each. Caesar salad, and I guess you can choose whether you want the green or the yellow envelope, but it's got the recipe on the back. Is there an age? They're from Current, so the people that make your checks and stuff, and it does not have a year on here, but I bet I could maybe find them. But anyway, so then, and then the inside of the card is blank. So I thought these were great. I love the illustrations. So we had Caesar salad, cream of cucumber soup, you guys. Is that a cold soup? Cream of cucumber soup. But look at that. That is beautiful. I love that artwork. And then you've got jambalaya and apricot lemon sherbet. So I thought those were like really pretty. And I don't know, what am I going to pose for a thumbnail with? Should I make this my thumbnail somehow? I don't know. That doesn't seem very enticing, but whatever. If I were like the other thrift haulers, I would just have a picture of all this stuff and that would be it. But so yeah, so I thought that was a really cool, and this one was marked $2.50. I'm not sure if that's what I actually paid for it, but yeah, I really liked that. And then let's get into some of the books, because every good thrift junk journal haul is going to have books. So I came across this booth at the Chirping Frog, and most of these books were $2. So we've got Big Book of Nature stencil designs, and it's just, well, all of the good thrift haulers always tell you the age of the books. So this one is 97, so barely vintage. But look at all the fussy cutting you could do. Now, granted, it's printed front and back, but it's a lot of cool things. You just have to decide on a page which is your favorite one, or I may just tear out and put these as pages in my Ephemera Packs. So there was that. And then we had, okay, I want to do a search on this Dover clip art series because I really, really liked these. I got 2 of them, I believe, and because they're one-sided. So this one is Borders, and it's got the original price tag still on it, but this is from 86. So clip art series, Borders. It's got instructions for how to use it. I didn't really read all of it, so I don't know if the idea was you could take this out and put it in a printer, or if you would, I don't know. I didn't read enough, but so they're, like I said, they're only printed on one side. So you just get all these great, but it's got the blue like layout grids on it, if you could see that, so that if you're going to add your own stenciling or calligraphy, you were able to have it centered in the border. And yeah, I didn't read enough on how these should be used, but I really liked them. But yeah, it does have instructions. They're copyright free borders. That's awesome. So I could actually scan these. I wonder if I scan them, if it might not pick up the blue. Was scanning around back in the mid-80s? I don't think it was. When photographed, the grids disappear, leaving bold, clear border designs. Well, there you go. So maybe if I scanned these, perhaps you'd only see the border. So I'm gonna have to try that with my scanner. So yeah, I was really happy to find that. And then the other one that I got was letters. Now this one had some water damage, so some of these pages were stuck together, and I've since gone through and unstuck them. But I mean, think of all the fussy cutting I could do. And are these copyright free too? Tell me they are. Yes, 800 copyright free decorative letters. That's great, you guys. Now I was watching a video of somebody, they were using more magazine pages, but they would take a strip of packing tape, like the clear packing tape, and they would press it down on a letter in a magazine and rip it up, and then they would find, like they're spelling a word, but they would find different letters from different fonts and stuff, almost like, you know, your kidnap ransom note kind of cutout letters. But that could be, I would have to scan this first, but that would be kind of fun to use on these. But yeah, you get every letter was represented. And so like these had been stuck together at the top, but I was able to get all of them separated with maybe one may have had some minor damage in doing that, but so yeah, I love that. For $2, you guys, $2. And the fact that they're copyright free, that really makes me want to go search on eBay and see if I can find some more of those. All right, then we also had in the stencil family, we have this ancient Egyptian cut and use stencils. Now these are also front and back. Oh, well, that's not the right page. Well, let's see how old this one was. 78. And this is also Dover publication. So I have found a ton of Dover stuff, and I love them. That was a really great brand of, I've got coloring books and stuff from them. So these are full page stencils, and the idea was that you had to cut out all the black parts to do the stencil, but it's a hard cardstock, so it really makes for, it would make good fussy cutting. Or like in this case, just cutting it down in half, and maybe this would be a good thumbnail. But yeah, anytime you can find, and even like this, you could fussy cut just part of it, right? Make yourself a book, like cut this in half and you've got a front and back cover to a book. But some of these, like these full page ones, these are kind of big for junk journals unless you make a full-size junk journal, but I don't see very many people do that. Probably because it's kind of hard to stuff those. But I have seen people make tall, skinny ones. So yeah, so there's that. Those were some good finds. All right, let's see what else. We're getting close to our, okay, getting close to our hour. So this was from Salvation Army. This is actually a shower curtain, a cloth shower curtain. But tell me what you think. I kind of thought I could cut out these little sayings. Now there's not very many. I think there was only a total of 6 different sayings on this whole thing. But I thought I could cut these out, glue them down to paper, and you could cut out a bigger segment, like if you wanted to make a cover out of it, but I don't think I'm that talented. But then you'd also have these parts you could cut out of just like this. You know, there's pieces of the design that you could do that with. So I just thought this might be a fun cutting experiment. And is it, because it is cloth, it's not lined with the plastic on the other side. So yeah, so I felt like this was just a cheap way to get material. And then while we're at the material, I also found at the Salvation Army, and I think that shower curtain was $3.99. I also found this massive, I think this is upholstery. So it was $4.99, and I mean, it's not what I'd say, you know, the most attractive upholstery, but that's what this is, right? I mean, it at first I thought it was curtains, but it's not. There's no, it's literally just material. So, I'm gonna remember to tell you that something. So yeah, so I thought this is like really good quality upholstery that people make journal covers out of this all the time. So I've got to learn how to cut it properly. But yeah, so this is definitely going to show up in my shop once I figure out how to cut it right. And I need to figure out what a a good size is for a journal cover that you're wanting to cover an upholstery. I need to, you know, do some research so that when I do start cutting it, I'm not cutting it, well, obviously it could be made smaller, but I want to make sure if there is like a standard. Yeah, see, somebody's already cut some of this off, or it was left over from a couch or something. I don't know, but I was kind of floored. I mean, there's a ton of it here. So yeah, expect to see this show up in my shop as I start figuring out how to deal with it. But $4.99. And then the last, I got all three of these pieces together for $1.99. So there was this kind of table runner, maybe doily kind of thing, but it's more of, you know, the cotton doily. And I know people disassemble these too, you know, just cutting through here, because this one doesn't look like it would come apart, like it wouldn't unfray if I just cut all those off. And then you'd have a really nice trim, or you could make a belly band, like if you had part of, you know, this part, and or this would still make a nice journal cover. The only thing is it's long, so I don't know how to deal with it being long like this. So I guess maybe if you cut it, like if you wanted to have covers, you'd need something on the spine to kind of cover up the edges. But anyway, there was that piece, and then this one, which really, this doesn't feel like an old thing, and it feels machine made. That one might have been too, but so there's this. I wouldn't have bought this. It just happened to come with it, but I might be able to cut trim out of this too, because I think I could cut along this line and it wouldn't come apart. And then, or this one actually might be an okay size for a junk journal that you wanted to have some overhang of your stuff. And then there was this piece, which I don't know how to use this either. And I can't tell if this is the kind of thing that you could cut apart. So if you're someone that's experienced with cutting these kind of things apart, if there's a video you know of that's like really good to explain how to do that, because like I could see wanting to have these center flowers would be nice to kind of cut out, as long as I didn't cause it to come all apart. But I think that could be fun to put as tuck spots, or, you know, or just as part of a collage, or a just kind of cute stuff, or maybe even using some of this to go under some collage pieces. So I thought that was a decent, for $1.99 for the three of those. And then I really should have more books on this, because otherwise the rest of the series is going to be all books and you'll get bored. We're getting to let me do a couple more books and then we will do our trivia. Okay, so I can't remember if I told you guys, but I found a new channel when I'm, you know, if you're into junk journaling, and it's Tracy Tries Journaling. And I will, if I remember, fingers crossed, but if I forget, feel free to put it in the comments and ask me for her channel link. But, and if you can see who I'm subscribed to her. So you can find it that way too. But she actually, on one of her thrift hauls, had this book, and I happened to find it in one of the thrift stores, so I picked it up. I think it originally would have had a dust jacket, and I paid $1.50 for this. It is Reader's Digest, ABCs of Nature, and it's just got a lot of things you can cut out. So this was, there were different sections. I'm not as interested in this, although I do like maps. So that map in the bottom I would like. But let me flip. I mean, it's got, like, I like this kind of stuff to cut out, which is really what Reader's Digest has. So many different encyclopedias of things, and they're just great for fussy cutting. But stuff like this, you could easily make a tag out of this or a journaling card. But I really like when we get into the plants. I really like all the different kind of images that they've got, illustrations that they've got for plants, because there are a lot of illustrations compared to photos. Like, I really don't care for the photos that much. Well, here's a photo. So if you like insects and you like the Venus flytrap, but look at these, right? This is awesome. So yeah, so I picked this up. Cool butterflies, jellyfish, maybe. Great for fussy cutting. And then it got into mammals. So yeah, I'm doing a monkey themed journal. There you go. So a lot of great stuff. And these also make great pieces to put in ephemera packs too. All right, and then the last thing I'll show on this one is The American Nation, A History of the United States up to 1877. So usually books like this have good, okay, so I said I don't like photos in books, but I do if they are old photos. So it's kind of a semi-gloss paper, and this is kind of a thinner paper. But if you like, you know, timelines and stuff, it had some of those. It had a treasure of a receipt from 1989. But, you know, you've got your maps and stuff in this too. But let me find, I like this kind of thing. Like, I would cut that out all day long. You could ink up the edges to make it look older. You could glue it down to some heavier cardstock to make it. You also get your, especially in history, you get your presidents or famous people. Well, this was Hamilton, if you're a Hamilton fan. Other, you know, just some of it's, you know, artwork from the time that is being recreated. And if you like historical pictures, it does have that kind of thing in it too. But yeah, some of these that remind me of what could have been a postcard. You know, you cut one of these out, say maybe you have a digital of the back of a postcard that you could then glue this to, and then you've, you know, created your own postcards. And obviously, because this is American history, you've got some less than ideal subject matter sometimes. But if you know, like to celebrate the American Indian, for example, the native indigenous people, you know, you might like some historical pictures like that. And obviously, there's probably also some pictures talking about slavery in here. But then you get some, you know, pictures like that. So these end up just being maybe people that do journaling, like glue books with magazines and stuff, might like this kind of a book a little bit more than maybe a more traditional kind of fussy cutting situation. If you like working with old pictures, you might like. So yeah, so we've got some stuff. If you're doing a historical journals, these kind of books are great for that. and, you know, the advertisements or pictures of the advertisements, news articles. I mean, farming. So now these are slave pictures, but I know some people like to use pictures like that that depict farm life and what it was back then. And then you've also got the presidents, each president. So if there was a president that you liked, maybe not LBJ after the stuff that's been coming out about him, the weird conversations that he had with Jackie O. That's been kind of weird because, you know, the JFK files have been, more and more stuff's being released, and there's been some weird stuff. But yeah, so that's the end of part 1 of our vintage haul. I might be able to finish everything else in one more video, but if not, there'll maybe be 2 videos. And then, you guys, we're gonna do something I saw with TikTok with this in a future video. So if you're curious about that, make sure you come by. I'll make sure to put, because I'm going to film all these in a row, so I'll know how many parts they are, so I'll make sure to put that in the title as well. But I like to do nostalgic TV trivia at the end of each of my videos, and I actually found the movie version of this yesterday in one of the thrift stores, and I don't know if I had the movie one. I've got a movie one, but I don't know if it was from this series or not. But this is from 1984, and like I said, if you're new here, we do this at the end, and we enjoy it. Although I'm sure some people disconnect before they get to this point. But anyway, I read the questions. I then kind of tell you what I think the answer might be, and I don't know very many of the answers. And then we see what the answers really are. All right, what cartoon character is noted for saying heavens to Murgatroyd? On what planet was Superman born? To whom did Mork report at the end of each Mork and Mindy show? Who played Lucy's best friend on I Love Lucy? Who plays Alan Spaulding on The Guiding Light? Who began as host of The Tonight Show in 1954? What was Dr. McCoy's nickname in Star Trek? What gum claims you get that just brushed freshness? Okay, this card is better than some for me. I know a couple of these answers. What cartoon character is noted for saying heavens to Murgatroyd? Well, that reminds me of a kid because I had stickers, but now I can't remember what. I feel like it was a. Shoot. I'm probably mixing things. I am not a cartoon person. It makes me think of the scrawny lion from Richard Scarry, but I don't think that's it. And so I honestly, I can't. Now I kind of want to say Mr. Magoo because I got stickers, Mr. Magoo stickers, and I somehow have that memory tied to this saying, but I don't know why, because I don't think they're related, but I'll just say Mr. Magoo. Maybe I'll luck out. On what planet was Superman born? Well, Krypton, right? And Krypton blew up, and that's, you know, why he got sent to Earth. To whom did Mork report at the end of each Mork and Mindy show? Well, I watched that, but probably when it was originally on. And so I didn't watch it like later, like in reruns. So all I can think of is a guy in an egg. Like the really old comedian guy. Shoot, I can't think of his name either. Like a bald guy in an egg. But I don't know, that could be a fake memory too. And it may not be who he reported to. Who played Lucy's best friend on I Love Lucy? Well, that was Ethel Mertz, played by Vivian Vance. Who plays Alan Spaulding on The Guiding Light? No idea. I can't even think of an actor's name to guess, because I do try to sometimes guess, but I have no idea, so I pass. Who began as host of The Tonight Show in 1954? Well, this goes back to I'm always saying Steve Allen for things, because he did host The Tonight Show, but I don't know if he was, this says who began as host of The Tonight Show. So I don't know if they're saying that's when The Tonight Show started, or if that's the first job that this guy had. But I'm going to say Steve Allen. What was Dr. McCoy's nickname in Star Trek? Bones. Gracie and I watched through that in its entirety. What gum claims that you get that just brushed freshness? I don't know, so I'm going to say Trident. But it could be like Wrigley's or Double Mint. I don't know, not Double Mint, because that's when they were doing the Double Mint Twins commercials, right? So I'm just going to say Trident, because I can't think of another one that would be for that. Okay, so the answers. What cartoon character is noted for saying heavens to Murgatroyd? Snagglepuss. Okay, see, it was like a lion cat kind of thing. So, doggone it, because he had the lisp, right? Okay. Superman was born on Krypton. To whom did Mork report at the end of each Mork and Mindy show? Well, it's Orson. I don't know if that's the... I keep wanting to say Wilford Brimley. It's not. It's not Wilford Brimley, because he had hair and diabetes. Remember, he did the diabetes commercials? But I don't say it that way. I say diabetes. But Orson. Well, shoot. Let's look it up real quick, because now it's going to bug me. And I'm sure it must be bugging you too, although you could have been looking it up while I was talking. Mork and Mindy. See who played Orson. Oh, Ralph James played Orson. Well, that's not who I was thinking of. Who was the... Jonathan Winters is who I was thinking of. Oh, he's not bald. He was probably just another alien, right? Okay, well, whatever. I definitely don't know my Mork and Mindy history. Who played Lucy's best friend? Oh, well, this says Vivian Vance, so I'm glad I said that. Why would it have said... Oh, because it's who played her best friend. So, yeah, Vivian Vance. Who plays Alan Spaulding on The Guiding Light? That was Chris Burnow. Who began as host of The Tonight Show in 1954? Steve Allen. What was Dr. McCoy's nickname in Star Trek? Bones. Oh, the gum is dentine. That makes sense. So, because, yeah, probably 4 out of 5 dentists prefer dentine. Okay, so how many did I get? I got Krypton, Vivian Vance, Steve Allen, and Bones. So I got 50%. That's pretty good for me. So we will do that again on the next video. And if you enjoyed this, let me know. Now, obviously, I'm filming these back to back. So if you happen to comment that you prefer seeing the everything on a table instead, the rest of the ones in this series will not be like that. They will be just like this. But I hopefully that won't deter you from coming back. And hopefully, if you're not a craft fan, you enjoy just the conversation or the ambient sound to fall asleep to in the middle of the night. But anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. And wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope you're having a great day. And until we meet again, take care of yourself. Bye.